I also made the case for owning Bitcoin, the quintessence of scarcity premium. It's literally the only large tradable asset in the world that has a known fixed maximum supply. By its design, the total quantity of Bitcoins cannot exceed 21 million.
Bitcoin is the hardest money that has ever been invented.
If you don't have my private key, you cannot spend my Bitcoin, period. And this is the power of Bitcoin.
It's the first time we figured out how to create true property that you can take possession of with full custodial rights.
Hey, Solo Rip 34, talking to Carr here. Yeah, I guess Carr is a frequent guest now. Is this back-to-back weeks with Carr in the house? Carr, you gonna stick around? You gonna come to these?
Yeah.
You kind of turned this into like a small PBS. No. Like I got a small little crowd. Carr's here. This is way better than PBS. I appreciate that love, but we got Solo Rip here, number 34. Appreciate you. I've been talking to Carr, and Carr, I'm gonna be transparent here on the show, is really helping me with this whole like remodeling, restructuring, reshuffling that I'm doing with Talking in Bits. And I want to be perfectly transparent here on the microphone. I'm sure you guys have noticed that the game is not where the game needs to be. I'm sure you guys are noticing that there's been a lot of lacklusterness maybe from the topics. Maybe not. Maybe you guys are getting a lot of value. Matter of fact, you guys keep streaming sats, so there must be some value exchange there. And I'm humbled that you guys are still getting value from Talking in Bits. But the real good part about what I'm trying to say is I know I can give y'all more. And I know I can give y'all better. And that's what I aim to do. And these conversations, and I keep bringing Carr because he's literally sitting to my left here, but these conversations that I'm having with Carr as of the last few weeks are very important to the growth and to the development of not only Talking in Bits, but Talking in Bits is a product of Spotlight Coalition. And that's something that you guys will start hearing more and more of. And that's something that I need help with. And it's just beautiful to talk to you, good sir. I appreciate it. So, guys, welcome back to another Solo Rip. We're going to keep them coming. There's going to be a lot of restructuring with Talking in Bits when it comes to the new year. More news on that coming. The schedule is going to be a little bit different, but it's been designed off of what you guys have seemed to like. And remember I told y'all that when you stream sats, value for value, yes, you're transferring value, but then at the same time, you're casting a vote. Remember when I told y'all that and I talk about that a lot? I feel that that's what all of your boosting lately and all of your sats that you stream into Talking in Bits is doing, is literally molding the show. You guys are casting a vote in order to see what it is that you want this to turn into. Because when we're thinking about, you know, what I've talked to you guys about with the Mind Your Block segment and all these things is I want splitting value to you, right? Giving you a split. If you don't like my music, submit new one. We'll give you a split. If you don't like my cover art, right? This Bitcoin ethos, open nature of what Talking in Bits is, that's just another part of that. You guys have voted into the network, into Talking in Bits, and you guys have said, hey, I like the solo rips more than I actually like the interview episodes, the main chain episodes. And to me, it's like, you know, the ego side of me in the beginning was more like, nah, like I like the interviews. That's what I like to do. But what I've learned over time is it doesn't matter. It's what y'all want to see and what y'all want to hear. So before we get into the booster section, keep that in mind. What you're about to see happen to Talking in Bits in the year 2023, right? And going forward is literally molded off of your feedback, off of your love, off of your word. So continue that feedback coming. And without further ado, we go into the boost sections for the last 7 days. Now, let me try to pull this up because Fountain be bugging sometimes. Oscar, that's not a diss. I know you guys are working hard, but Fountain be bugging sometimes. All right. So we got some of the usual folks. Remember, if you are a booster and you actually left some feedback in here, you are a delegate of Talking in Bits. You are part of the upper cabinet to help mold this. I hate using fiat terms for that stuff, but until I get something better, that's all I got for y'all. And if you just stream sats, you're still equally as important. You're a voter. You know, you came, you casted your ballot, you let us know that you messed with Talking in Bits. You're either first time listener or last time listener, and I get that. But let's go here. Massive boost from Bubba, 39,000 sats. Bubba, I appreciate you. Let me read your message here. I'm so damn proud of you. Oh, actually, nope, that's not me. See, this is another part that I want to get into here, guys, is that, well, actually, let's get into that in a little bit. Let's get into like value for value being the new royalty checks. Let's get into that real quick. But anyways, Mr. Robot off the top of the list. 5,000 sats here. And this is just a tip for y'all, the listener. For listeners, you can boost through Alby or LNT XBot to your Fountain Lightning address as well. Those messages will go directly in the transaction portion of Fountain Value for Value. Let's fucking go. Hey, Mr. Robot is a whiz with all this podcasting 2.0 stuff, and he literally just gave y'all some value, gave me some value, and gave y'all some value if you go check out that comment. That's just a different way for you to be able to use some of these really cool services that are happening nowadays. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit as well, to be able to fund your Lightning wallet so that you can get to the Bitcoin standard of media. That's what we're supposed to be doing here. I'm getting to the point where I'm not even going to accept the normal person saying, hey, man, I don't know how to get on Value for Value. I don't know how to support this show. I don't know how to do all that. We're getting rid of that completely, because if you can't get an Alby, or if you can't get a Moon wallet, or if you nowadays even your Cash App wallet, if you can't do none of that to be able to stream your favorite show some love, then you're really behind the ball, and you really need to hit me up in the DM so I can explain to you how to get to the new age podcaster medium here. Moving on, Joey Double D, keep your loud mouth mouthing. I think that's a compliment. It's either a compliment or to this, but I'm going to go with a compliment because you guys know that when I get in my bag, I get in my bag. But you're voting for the solo rip staying for 30 minutes. Freaking amazing how fast the Lightning and Bitcoin space is moving. Guess I need to learn Nostr now. Hey, Joey DD, you and me both, man. And I want to get into a topic here about how some talking in bits and the topics that it includes should be changing here. And it kind of goes towards that. Gene, my man. Gene told me I got to go check out Curry. You guys need to stop making fun of me for that. You guys are letting me know that to listen to the No Agenda podcast so I can find out what the magic 33 number is. I try to keep up with the good sir Podfather Adam, but I can't, man. So maybe you could just fill me in, or at least point me to the episode where that mystery becomes revealed. But either way, I appreciate the 33,333 sat boost. Remember, 5% of these goes to open sats, which is super important as well. I don't get all of this. You guys are contributing not only to Talking in Bits, but you're contributing to all the really cool projects that's supported under open sats. So don't forget about that. And Bubba, you're in here. I know I started with you, but that was for a different podcast. Fiaters equal fiat fuckers. Bubba's the man. That broad in front of the hearing is not a real person, hence why she's in Washington. Bubba, like, I could hear you saying that from the last time we communicated and got to know each other in person. But thanks for the boost, good sir. And you're right. Fiaters equal fiat fuckers. I think that's pretty hilarious and spot on. For the supporters, that means the streamers, Patar, Joey DD, Dirty Jersey Whore, MGB256, The Wild Hustle, Gene, and Bubba. I appreciate y'all. Let's get those boosts up. Let's continue to mold this show. Keep telling me what you want. We got 1-to-1 here now on half-hour solo rips versus 1 hour solo rips. So let's try to break that tie, and let's get as many boosts as we can get in to basically figure out what y'all want to hear, man. I'm torn. I love the concise 30-minute episodes. I think they're spot on when, for those Saturday mornings when, you're working out and when you need to get something in, some errands, and you can hear a nice rip. But, man, I got so much shit to talk about that I wouldn't mind doing an hour. But speaking on let's speak on a few things here, right? So the very first part is this one thing that I've been trying to educate people on that, may seem like a no-brainer, but I just don't think, some things that are no-brainers, people actually need to word it in a way that actually sounds like it makes sense. Like you have to correlate it is what I'm saying. So everybody knows that in podcasting 2.0, and I wasn't even going to start here, but I am going to start here because why the hell not? Everybody knows that if you submit something to a Value for Value podcast, they can actually put you as a split and give you a percentage. Sort of like Open Sats, sort of like some of my guests and anybody else who wants to contribute to Talking in Bits. Well, what people don't really think about is that if you're really creative, as I tend to think I am, if you're really bullish and you work really hard, as I know I do and feel that I do, well, you can actually allow yourself to kind of be like this top of the umbrella structure that basically provides the services, the skills that you are really good at. Maybe it's cover art, right? Maybe it's design, maybe it's music, maybe it's whatever. For me, it's making podcasts look as good as this, right? Like that's my thing. That's my skill. That's what I know how to do. So if I can give that and provide that to other teams, yeah, we may be able to strike a deal, a partnership, a retainer, typical fiat standard type of negotiations. But the real clever part about this that a lot of people don't think about is know your worth and think about these things that you're working on as assets. So get that equity in the project that you're working on. I think that's extremely important for everybody to understand. And it doesn't have to be big. It could be 5%, it could be 10%. But if you believe in it and you work in it, make sure with value for value, now that you don't need any contracts to do so, you say, hey, pay me X amount of months if you're going to pay that, because maybe you were just looking for a designer or looking for whatever. But I also want equity in the life of that project, right? Royalty checks, right? A good example is the music industry. Well, maybe not for the artist, but for everybody else, you just have to be a part of that process one time and you continue to collect payments on that for the life of that project. Now, that may be nothing for your local garage band that does nothing, but considering it's the holiday times, think about the royalty check that Mariah Carey's getting for her holiday songs. Carl, what do you think that number is, man? It's up there, man. And she's number one every December. As a matter of fact, the day after Thanksgiving. This lady is like back on the top of the charts and she's never have to sing another note in her life because she was part of that creative process. She knew her worth and she grabbed the equity. Well, that's what I'm trying to do here. So that little mistake that I made in the beginning episode when I was reading a boost from a different show, guess what? Your boy out here getting around and providing this value to some of the greatest podcasters out here. And I know my worth. So I go into these conversations knowing that, and you should always know your worth because there's a lot of charlatans out here, right? So know your worth, but it doesn't have to die with the fiat. I say this over and over. I think I just said it to Carl a little while ago. Hey, the clever way of paying somebody is with fiat. That's basically saying, here you go, negotiation over, see you later, keep it pushing. I don't want to know anything about you until next time, right? But on the other hand, if I find a much clever way, right? If I can like provide you in networking, right? Like if I could, help you elevate, right? Then maybe I pay you like that. Maybe I pay you with food. Maybe I pay you with something, right? As easy as rides, who knows? But you guys get the point. So when you involve yourself in these projects, you can definitely get paid however you see fit, whether it's fiat or otherwise. But I promise you, if you hold on to the equity of the project, you ride the exponential growth of that project over its life, over its time. And the more of these projects that you get involved in, well, guess what? The higher the return on that royalty check. So just like the cast members of The Office still probably sit around and get a check in their mailbox every single probably week, a quarter, a month, right? Random checks that just say, hey, you just made an extra few $1,000s because The Office was really hot during the holidays. Same way music artists do that. Mariah Carey could sit at the top of the list. Well, we can do that here in Value for Value. We can do that in this space. We can do that in podcasting, in music, right? Because some artists are releasing their albums as podcasts, right? Maybe one day soon in audiobooks, right? Whatever it may be. Imagine collecting that royalty for a project you contributed to for the life of it. That's the type of territory that we should be thinking about here and we should be going into. And that's the one that I'm on. So for the last few months or so, because I'm always transparent with y'all, like I've been putting in the work in as many different projects as I can, simultaneously educating them about the value for value model, while on the other side, making sure that I get an equity for something I believe in. Because if I work with you, I believe in you, right? I'm giving you my time. So in many forms, I'm giving you my heart. That means I believe in what you're doing, right? So if I believe in the project and I believe in the exponential growth for that project, I want to attach myself to that project, even if I no longer work for that project anymore. Mariah Carey is not making another holiday album, I promise you, because that album is to the moon every Thanksgiving. Mom's got that. It doesn't even matter what culture it is. Spanish people got it on, white people got it on, it doesn't even matter. You got the Mariah Carey holiday classics on Smash. That's what Jose's trying to build here with Spotlight Coalition, first and foremost, but with Talking in Bits. This is the beta. This is the model. This is how I try things, right? Everything you see first, whether it's a camera view, whether it's an audio setup, whether it's a topic, whether it's a way that I rant, whether it's whatever I need to do, this is all being tested here and being proven here so that I could go out and make those other projects better there. And for that, with Value for Value, I can attach myself to that and continue to ride that exponentially. So I'm going to move on from my little royalties rant that I had going on there, but I want y'all to start framing yourselves and understanding your value, right? It's the good old thing. If they come out here and want to give you $10,000, well, best believe you're probably worth 50. You're probably worth 100. That's something that you guys should understand. And it's very tough, especially for individuals where I came from, to understand our value. But we figure it out. We keep stumbling through. We keep working. We keep proving ourselves and to others that we are worth what we think we're worth. Remember, if they come to the table with 10, you're worth 50 easily. That's very important for y'all to understand. Now I'm going to move on from that topic for real this time. Just similar topics, and I've been talking to a few people about this lately, but I think as early listeners, first-time listeners can relate to is Talking in Bits used to be a lot more about the technicalities of Bitcoin. Now, I do love the relationship and the correlation with Bitcoin being life, right? Like I love that philosophical point of Bitcoin, which is it makes you better with your food. It makes you better with your sovereignty, with all these things. I do love that aspect, and I think the show is trending in that direction. But this stuff isn't just made up. Like it only works because people are putting in the work to make it work, if that makes sense. None of this would be possible with a lot of individuals that are underneath the radar, but a lot of individuals that are selfless with their time in order to be able to build this beautiful network that we all get to thrive in and that we are lucky to be alive to be able to experience, if that makes sense. And I think when you think about like the integrations of the world, so I've been playing around with my Embassy Suite. I've been playing around with Get Alby. I'm late on Get Alby. I know I am, but I've been playing with that. Nostr seems to be extremely interesting, not only to me, but to the world right now, right? There's a lot of these things that I feel like I'm doing an injustice to you, the listener, for not being able to highlight for you in depth, right? We all know about the lizard people. We all know about the Federal Reserve. We all know about that weird nonsense that they got going on. By the way, that game they had this week with the Ukrainian flag behind the dude or whatever, that's wild. But anyway, they got some weird money laundering scheme, something going on, whatever they got going on. You got better shows that do that better, right? Like up the street, we got TFTC. They do that very well, right? You got other people that do that higher level, what's fucked up with the world thing, right? You can even go Rogan if you want to go Rogan, right? And like, and get that, right? I don't need to come here and waste y'all time on doing that. What I need to do is be more open about my experimentation in Bitcoin. I remember when I first got my cold storage and my multi-sig and all these things, all this stuff was fascinating to me. And then I took for granted that a lot of the people that are listening don't know the things that I know, are not around the same people that I'm around, and therefore can't absorb the information as fast as I get it. So I need to return to a place where the technology, right? The Lightning side of Bitcoin, right? The Nostr side of Bitcoin, the things that are actually happening here at Pleb Labs, right? I need to get closer to those things for you, but for me. To understand this technology, to be more bullish about this technology and not be so stumped at the head whenever something happens on the protocol that I'm just blown away by. Like whenever I use that new product, such as Nostr, that I'm like, whoa, how the hell did I miss this? And the reason I missed that is because I'm worried about the lizard people, right? And I'm worried about ranting and I'm worried about doing that stuff. Y'all love the rant. I love the rant. Ask my wife. But it's extremely important for me to get back to those basics. And similar to that, and make the correlation with how we can make it improve ourselves. That's what the whole royalty check rant was really about. Y'all talented out there. We talented. Everybody's talented here. There's a way to know what your worth is, and it's not with cuckbucks. It's not with any of that stuff. It's being clever in the way you give value and the way you receive value. Hence, value for value, which is very basic, so simple that it's difficult for a lot of people. Because boy, are people not clever with how they give value back to Bitcoin, how they give value back to the world, and how do they give value back to even their family members. People are not clever in that sense. They always think it revolves around the exchange of fiat. Right? Like that's the easy, I'll give you $50. You help me out. That can work, but that doesn't have longevity attached to it. And eventually that relationship just sours out because as we know, fiat melts and $50 6 months from now is not going to be able to buy the same person. And that sounded mean, but you know what I mean? The services of that person, because that person's going to exponentially get better. And then $50 doesn't really mean $50 when that person is that much more skillful. But if I harvested a relationship with that person that wasn't built off of fiat, right? And we swapped something that really matters, effort, time, attention, love, right? These things, then boy, is that always, that's going to go exponential along with that person, and that connection will always stay. But you didn't trade something that evaporates that relationship. And that's something that I've been learning a lot here as well. So get your stake in an equity. Understand that you need to do the work in order to see the results. There's no way around that. Some of the greatest athletes in the world have told us that over and over. Some of the greatest people you know are probably the hardest working people in the room. That's not because they like to stress themselves out. It's because they're selfless. They're contributing. They're building. Ride along with them and let them ride along with you, and everybody wins in that situation there. So I'm going to honor you guys. I'm going to put my equity where, my equity where my mouth is, or whatever it is. And I keep offering you the same thing. Work with me and I will work with you. If you're good at something, I want to hear about it. Conversely, the other way around, if I can help you, let's talk about it. And let's build that type of system that doesn't rely fiat exchange and is more equity-driven exchange. Believe in me and I believe in you, if that makes any sense. Car, that makes sense? Yeah, that makes sense. Cool, man. All right, we're going to move on because Jose's just ranting again. All right, I got this clip. So I listened to the Joe Budden podcast. Joe Budden, for all of you under 30 years old, is a rapper from New Jersey who's always been about like mental health and all that stuff. I grew up in the Northeast. Y'all know that. So Joe Budden was actually very big in my lifetime. That was his peak and all that stuff. But anyways, he has a really good podcast. This isn't a show whatsoever. It's just one of the podcasts that I listen to that's out of Bitcoin, because yes, we do have to listen to things out of Bitcoin. And he had this, I'm going to call this the tinfoil hat moment, where like even they, which are, rappers and more music-oriented people, are starting to see all the weird clown world stuff that's going on. So he played a few clips, but this is also as a reminder of this stuff is true. These lizard people that I promise I won't spend too much time on, for some reason, they just want you to lose, right? They just want you to fail. And these clips make me think about like how bad things have gotten. So let me try to pull that up here and run it.
This video says that smart is the new word for control.
Mr. Acting Deputy President, Australian cities are becoming digital surveillance precincts, with so-called smart city programs being rolled out across the country. Invasive technology such as facial recognition cameras, licence plate readers, smart lights, smart poles, smart cars, smart neighbourhoods, smart homes and smart appliances, all connected to wireless networks and communicating with each other. So what's wrong with that? Technology is good, isn't it? All this is for your safety, security and convenience, isn't it? Well, let me tell you, your streets are spying on you, your mobile phone is spying on you, your cities are spying on you, and the infrastructure for future lockdowns is being put into place right now. Don't be fooled. You're being set up to be tracked through your movements and through the future of your digital wallets. By handing over your data, you're handing over the ability to monitor your behaviour, which will soon be turned into a social credit score. And once the central bank digital currencies are in place, you won't get to spend your money without approval. Digital ID will soon become a reality in Australia. Many other countries are already rolling these systems out, countries like Canada, Scotland and many others. Eventually, you won't be able to access any government or public services, and you won't be able to travel across borders or access healthcare or the internet without a digital ID. Think you won't comply? I think you will. The last 2 years were the dress rehearsal and we fell for it hook, line and sinker. Australians are sleepwalking into this technocratic future, and while we're sitting around scratching our chins trying to work out whether this is really happening, Australia is drifting towards a dystopian digital future.
Yeah, that is super gloomy to hear, but it is happening, man. They've established themselves into an arena here where, hold on, let me shut this off because it's going to keep going. They've established themselves in an arena here where they literally, over time, with convenience, with the benefits of security and all that stuff, where they've gotten these wireless systems set up all over, all around you. Your phone talks to your light bulb talks to your car talks to your watch talks to the other person's watch. And all these things are just constantly syncing. Now they got smart cities where the light poles are now connected to your watch and the license plate when you drive by, and you'd be damn how accurate those things are. Have you ever received a picture of your license plate in the mail when you went by a toll? Like, you're moving at like 90 and that thing's capturing that thing as a perfect still. Like this stuff is really sophisticated stuff. You can actually like walk into airports now and like for whatever damn reason, I think this is bad for doxing. The airport term like screen would actually say your name, meaning, hey, we know who the hell you are. We can see your face. That gentleman was talking about Australia as being the foreground, the setup for what's to come. But all of us Bitcoiners know that. So this is not to completely shift away from the beginning part of this conversation, but this is to understand we need to remove ourselves from their grips. And what's really bullish about, back once again to the builders that are building is that they're giving us the ability to be able to do that in so many different fashions. Right? Nostr reminded me of that as I lightly used it throughout the week. We're now going to be able to decentralize that social media platform that we all fiend for, which is very weird, but we all want to go onto one of them. Either Instagram's your thing, if Twitter's your thing, it don't matter. One of them has got you by the balls. One of them has you, but you're the product in this situation. They got you for a reason because they spend billions and billions of dollars knowing your patterns and knowing you all that. So now let me ask you a question. If they know what you like to watch and listen to and follow on social media, right? Because of that. If they know where you're at all times because of your location, if they know what car you drive because they take pictures of your play, right? If they know what your palm freaking looks like because now when you walk into the Whole Foods, you can pay with your damn palm. If they know all these things about you, what makes you think that they're not going to fuck with your money? What makes you think that they're not going to be able to stop you from, like, by introducing this current currency that's going to give you this system of saying you can't buy this or you can't buy that? You can't buy a microphone, Jose, because you talk too much shit about us. You can't give, your friends a ride because you've allotted your miles and you can't buy gas anymore. What makes y'all think, honestly, that Bitcoin is not the only way to go here? What makes you think that you can't get paid in Bitcoin? What makes you think that you shouldn't build equity in Bitcoin, as we discussed earlier in this episode? I don't know. Only doubts that this will end up this way, or some crazy optimism that these people are going to turn around and end up doing what's in your best interest. If we want to talk about resumes meaning anything, well, these damn people have given you the resume over time that have told you that they will squash you like a bug, whether it's through police enforcement, whether it's through laws, whether it's through taxation, whether it's through any weird tactic that only they can pull off, money printing. They're going to squash you and everything that you're worth like a bug when they want. Is it, when you listen to clips like that, is there really any doubt that we need to support the builders of this thing that we are talking about and seeing as our savior, as the savior technology, right? Why are we not focused on the builders as much as we're focused on the clowns? I don't know. Maybe that's that good old thing where human beings just love to be humored. Human beings, if you can make them laugh, you find a way to make, if you scare them, right? You find a way to make them do pretty much damn near whatever it is you think you want to do. So who has the monopoly on fear? Well, they do. They have the monopoly on violence, right? But the humor part, we don't need to allow their clownish behavior to humor us, to stir us, to pull us into a direction that's away from the direction that we already know is correct. And that is building out this network, right? That's going to allow us to be able to save ourselves from their grasp, their rules, their game. You hear it all the time. You opt out of their game by getting into the Bitcoin game. But where I'll go a little bit further is I don't just mean stack sats. That's pretty cool. Contribute your time, contribute your value, contribute to projects, speak about projects. If you can't contribute, start a show, right? Give a platform to those people that are building the literal dagger to the dark and evil presence that is this weird ass world. So I just wanted to leave y'all with that. Check out that clip, replay it one more time. Some of you may be like, I already knew that, but are you behaving like you already know that? Are you preparing, right? And how are you contributing to Bitcoin? I guess will be the TLDR of this episode. Know your worth, stack your sats, help the builders, help the space. We all win. They all lose. Just to keep it real simple. That wraps up Solo Rip 34. Appreciate y'all as always. You know where to find us. Value for Value. Help mold this show, as I talked about earlier. So many different podcasting apps that do it. I want to see some more, actually. Fountain and Breeze just seem to be the easiest way to do it. Mr. Robot left a boost earlier and showed y'all how you can fund that Fountain wallet very easy. Maybe take his advice if you haven't done so yet. If you've been listening to Talking in Bits for a while now, maybe it's about time that you send that first sat to see what it's about, to see what the other people are boosting about, and to get your feet wet or your beak wet or whatever analogy you want to use with this new technology that's going to allow us to keep freedom alive so that we can live the lives we want to live, and y'all can pass that on to generation to generation, and we could do that together. Appreciate y'all. Bitcoin TV, 4K content, this beautiful content, this beautiful studio. YouTube, but if you're still not on the new Bitcoin standard of media, then YouTube, Spotify, all those other places you can catch Talking in Bits. Share, rate, subscribe. But try to fund the Lightning wallet and try to send your first sat. Maybe it's not to me. Maybe it's to Thriller. Right? Maybe it's to your favorite show. Doesn't matter what it is. Just get involved, because that economy, that system is what I'm talking about. We need to do this together. Appreciate y'all. Wraps up episode 34. I will see y'all next week, and a bunch of new stuff coming for the new year. I promise. Later, y'all.